Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nirmala Naidu, anchor of CBC News Calgary at 5, 5:30, and 6. And on behalf of the Calgary Multicultural Center and my colleagues at CBC Calgary, I would like to welcome all of you to this symposium today. Thank you so much for getting up with us early this morning. Special greetings also to Deputy Minister of Employment and Immigration, Shirley Howe, His Worship, Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi, Alison Gray, the Director of the University of Calgary's downtown campus, and all of the newcomers to Canada who are joining us here today. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
On behalf of the Calgary Multicultural Center Board of Directors, I would like to welcome all of the symposium attendees and to thank all the staff, speakers, sponsors, and volunteers who have made this symposium today possible. This symposium was made possible in collaboration with the University of Calgary by offering this gracious space, as Mayor mentioned, and funding from Community Mission Program, Alberta Culture and Community Spirit, and from Canadian Immigration and Citizenship, funding for all the promotional and communication material that we have on the table. Also, we'd like to thank the volunteer symposium committee members for their relentless dedication to this project. Most of all, I would like to thank Nila Jakova, Resource Center Coordinator, and Lila Ayer, the Executive Administrator, for spearheading this project and making this such a successful project. Thank you. We believe that all individuals and cultures deserve respect and appreciation. We also believe that every individual has the ability to make a powerful, positive contribution to our society. And this symposium has been also organized in recognition of the 40th anniversary of multiculturalism in Canada. We take a great pride in our achievements about our success integrating new Canadians. Unlike what is happening in the rest of the world, where there are serious complications and rejections of multiculturalism, we in Canada embrace cultural diversity.
Alberta welcomes new immigrants and takes pride in a province that has people from all around the world. Supporting the success of newcomers means it should not take years for individuals to integrate and work in their field of education. Employment and Immigration and the Government of Alberta look forward to continuing our work to support the attraction, development, and integration of immigrants to our province. Over the last 5 years, we have made great progress in attracting newcomers, helping them settle once they're here, supporting them to get jobs that meet their skills and experience, and building welcoming communities that make newcomers feel included.
And sometimes we do take it for granted. You know, we do live in a world where in the last 6 months, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, the President of France, and the Chancellor of Germany have all said that in their context, multiculturalism is a failure. And it's not for us to question their reality. It is, after all, their reality. But it is to us to not only ensure that we're telling the story loudly and proudly of a place where multiculturalism works, where diversity works, where pluralism works, that's this place right here, but that we are also working hard to ensure that it continues to work. I've often suggested that Calgary and Canada are the ultimate areas, examples of meritocracy, a place where no one really cares what you look like, or where you came from, or what your last name is, or who your daddy was. They care about what you bring to the table. However, I believe we can do better. And I believe that there is work to be done to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to come to that table, to share their ideas, and to share their passions to make things happen. Right? We need to make sure we're doing good accreditation of foreign qualifications. How many years did it take us to figure this out? How many years did it take us to realize that we as a country were engaging in the ultimate bait and switch by telling people in other countries, you can only come to Canada if you have all these qualifications, if you meet these certain number of points on our scale. And oh, by the way, when you get here, you'll never actually be able to use those skills that we required you to have in order to come here. We're starting to figure it out. So we're going to go through some difficult times over the next couple of years because of the labor market shortage. But for the people in this room, I hope that all of you see that as a remarkable opportunity to double down and redouble all of our efforts to make sure that we are placing people in professions that make sense to them one person at a time. Because those first people will make all of the difference to us.
I found these three terms sort of providing some sort of structure for the kind of approaches that are there when people start talking about the attachment or integration of the immigrants to their host society. It has been shown that the trust is a very crucial factor in facilitating people's engagement in other aspects of their society, from political engagement to civic engagement to donation to volunteering to developing informal and friendship network. So trust is that sort of key component in this whole sort of grand scheme of attachment. Of trust that they report today is almost parallel to the type of economic experiences they have. So if when they arrive, they have an easier time integrating into the economy and they have a better, more pleasant, more positive economic experience, then that initial impact creates a very trustful view among them towards the general population of Canada. And then it doesn't matter whether you're asking them 5 years later or 10 years later or 15 years later. That initial impact is still there. It's younger folks or the immigrants who have arrived at a very young age, they tend to have had a sort of better or more pleasant experience, and therefore they are reporting higher levels of trust. And of course, again, another group, those who are arriving at a very sort of older age, they are having more or less the same type of experience. The ones that are in the middle are the ones that are showing the lowest level. And these are the folks that arrive in order to get immediately into the job market. And the trend is that they experience poverty, and there are a larger number of people within their groups that are struggling with poverty. The level of trust again declines. And that is something that is true both for immigrants and the native-born Canadians as well. Not only experiencing poverty, but also being in an area that other people are experiencing poverty has more or less the same. So this is again showing the connection between trust and living in poor neighborhoods. So if you have a whole bunch of people around you that are struggling with poverty, even if you yourself are not necessarily poor, has pretty much the same effect, because that is telling you that this thing can happen to you. So the horizon is not as clear and as bright as it should be. And again, this is something.
Calgarians, now more than ever, know that immigrants are essential to the growth of the economy, of the province, and our country. Indeed, Calgary is a great example of welcoming and integrating new Canadians and raising the bar. Canada's net labor growth is now dependent on immigration, therefore our productivity depends on new Canadians. Calgary's story is Canada's story. We must continue to foster a workplace that is not only inclusive and barrier-free, but culturally competent. Our talent strategy and our relationship with our customers. Showing our customers that we know their communities and that we know their needs because our employees are active members of those communities, builds a relationship that time and time again brings business to Beagle and supports our growth agenda and employees. Because you know what, at the end of the day, I don't think that individuals such as the hiring manager that I spoke about have the wrong attitude per se. They're very busy, so we have to make it easy for them to make the right choices. BMO was a living example of how immigrants and new Canadians are essential for our business. New Canadians are the key growth to the economy in Alberta. The successful integration and inclusion of all Canadians will be the greatest challenge of the next decade, but it will be surely one of the most worthwhile investments. Indeed, investing in people and their potential has built this country, and continuing this tradition with new Canadians will lead us to continued success in the future.
It really defines, what we make them to define, is the job. And that is what we need them with, the job. So when we look at the pie of life, what they have to worry about and are focusing on is the job. And the bad news is they don't have a job. So basically that leads to a lot of issues, such as physical and mental stress. If you look at all the studies the last 10 years, immigrants come healthy and they become sick and stressed. Physical, now we're paying attention to the mental situation, the health of the newcomers. Obviously, the mental issues, the mental health becomes quite undesirable. Depression. Are we helping the society? I don't think we are helping that much. Because basically, in North America, especially Canada, work is almost everything. If you don't have a job, you have a problem. And we are valuing only certain kind of job, and that is even worse than a problem. If I come here as a newcomer and I have only option of driving taxi, I have to hide it from you because it's not something that we value. And I think that is the question I'm raising. We have to recognize the work, regardless of what it is, and give credit for people doing it. The people that they are able to build the social capital, they're much more successful in the settlement, in integration, and also in the whole contribution, and also creating a sense of belonging for Canada or the local community that they need to come to Canada. So the prime factor for coming, the push factor for them is not coming here and finding a job. The push factor is to come to Canada and start a life, a new life, for themselves and for their children. And that's what works. And I don't think we can do it in isolation. It has to work, have a comprehensive approach to making it successful. First, we start with policy. Canada is a democratic country. That's what I love. And what policies are so important because they drive everything. So, not only government policies, but also businesses policies, employers policies. Those are important. So what we have to do, make sure the policies that we create are friendly, are there to make immigrants become successful. Collectively, we have to create a condition of success. That creating conditions of success involves everybody in our community. You cannot have successful integration of newcomers, about 15,000 of them in your city, if they cannot afford to rent the decent place. It's not only settlement, it's the housing, it's the policing, it is the health, it is the whole community has to be involved to make the settlement integration work.
The first challenge that I would identify is a lack of alternative jobs that medical professionals would do. So what I mean by that is, once you come to Canada, we find that your medical diploma is not credited, is not accepted, even to work as any type of a medically related stuff. The second challenge that I would like to mention is a prolonged and complex licensure process. I know how many of you are familiar with this process. I don't think that we have time to talk about that today, but it's extremely complicated. It's a very long process. You have to pass all Canadian medical exams, you have to apply for residency to the Alberta International Medical Graduates Program, which is once a year. So the minimum time that you could make that is 3 years. Also, I want to mention about the unrealistic expectations for international graduates, medical graduates, and what I mean by that is, so in order to get into residency, you have to provide 3 reference letters, and you have to provide as letters from practicing physicians in Canada, and you have to prove your medical experience in Canada. You cannot get a license. No way to get a license through the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta. The next thing that I want to mention is a huge gap between the time you practice and until you get into practice again. So these are years of non-practicing, you're losing your skills, you lose your knowledge, you're basically off of the market. People who come to Canada need to know, they have to know the cultural differences, they have to be ready to change. And I want to point out that I'm not an extraordinary person. I'm just a normal, regular person. But I think what helped me, I came to Canada at the right time. I met the right people, thanks to everybody, not everybody here.